Hey, what's up? It's your boy Bobby Sapphire, hyperloops.com, coming at you with another Star Wars Legion video. What? Today, we're going over one of my games in a series that I like to call That Thing's Operational. And I'm joined today by a guest from Legion 99. Let me put my glasses on. Proprietor of 6 Up, Keegan. What is up, my dude?
Hello, sir. Thanks for having me on.
I know you can't see my camera right now, but I'm holding up what I just got in the mail, which are my band tokens. They just
Very
came.
nice.
I just walked in
Awesome.
the door right before we recorded, and I got these thick ass band tokens. Look at these. They're beautiful. They're gorge.
Great, great
I got
timing. Yeah.
sick bounty. Yeah, great timing. Almost like we planned it. I got these sick Beskar bounty tokens for when they finally give Cassian bounty, like they should, right? He needs a buff.
Cassian's a prequel era a scum faction as a
Mm-hmm.
bounty, right?
Yep. And then I got a little green silhouette because my silhouettes are all gray and boring. So,
Nice.
uh,
Very
so
cool.
Keegan hosted an episode of Turn Zero Lists
Hmm.
with our boy Codec, in which he talked about his rebel list, which was Lando R2, Luke Skywalker, some troopers, a fleet trooper, Wookiees, and 2 sniper teams,
Hmm.
which is exactly what I played against.
Yep. Yeah, Codec's been working that list really well.
Yeah, so I figured, well, you just released that list. I had just played against it. I said,
Hmm.
why don't we merge and do some official sweet content creation? And
I
this
love
is
it.
extra beautiful because you created my list that I've been playing. So you know both of these lists well.
I do. Yeah. I talked to Codec this week, and I've played against his list a couple of times, and you've made this list enough of your own. I think I inspired. Is
No,
a fair way to say it.
I literally got the list from you. Like you gave it to Ed, and Ed gave it to me, and Ed sent me all the models for it, and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna play this, and I like it, and it's been doing well, so I'm not gonna change it now. But it will always
That's
be your
true.
list. I will refer to it as my list because I am playing it, but everyone should know, and everyone will know that you are the architect behind
I'll,
this
I'll,
sweet list. And every time
I'll,
someone tries to tell me to change it, I'm like, but I can't do it the same. I can't do the vigilance thing with Cassian, you know?
yep, yeah, I'll take that credit. I also think I do believe I painted that gin that you ended up with as
Oh,
well.
you painted the Jyn?
Does that have? It's the one with
The
the
Wampa arm?
wampa.
Hold on, let me
Yep.
go get it for our viewer. Nope. Abort. It's tucked away in my Legion bag, so I can't actually get it.
Okay.
But I'll
Yeah,
post
yeah.
a picture of it.
I had
Uh,
some fun with that when Ed asked for a gin with a Hoth theme. So
yeah, that's awesome. No, that's even more hype. So I made a couple changes to
yep,
the list since you gave it to me, which was I took the portable scanner off of the rebel officer because I'm not really hunkered down on like doing the 2 take cover and moving those
sure,
troopers out. I'm a little
sure.
more trying to move those troopers right into position for where I want them mid game. And you know, I think I lack some patience needed for me to just sit there and wait with the dodges.
Oh, interesting. You were looking to throw the dodges on the troopers.
Yeah, because why else would I want to throw 2 dodges out at the same time? Do you move
Oh,
up the rebel
I,
officer pretty aggressively with the rest of the people?
I do, yeah. I keep him. I try to get him in the middle, and I stack. I like to stack dodges, especially with situational awareness and nimble on Sabine and the Clan Ren. So that was the I thinking that I had around giving him take cover too, so I could just keep throwing a bunch of dodges on them, and then the naked rebels can just do whatever they're going to do in the backfield.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I guess what has happened to me in just my few games, and I usually take advice from people,
hmm.
is people say you got to keep that rebel officer back. He's just going to die. So I
Oh yeah,
generally try and keep him somewhere safe where he's feeding dodges in the mid game to maybe some
yeah, that's
trooper
fair.
units or
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
well, now I only have the take cover 1, but I'm usually have him, you know, behind a wall, maybe giving some troopers a
Yeah,
dodge, or
yeah,
maybe moving him with R2 for a little while, like escorting R2
yep,
halfway, giving him a
yep,
dodge, and just being a little more flexible.
yeah,
But I
absolutely, yeah.
hadn't really considered just moving him up into the fray as something to shoot. I mean, I guess if they're killing my rebel officer instead of like Sabine, that's good. But also, I find like when I load up Sabine with dodges and her personal shield, like they don't want to shoot her anyway. They're usually
Hmm.
looking for other things to shoot.
Hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, and I don't have. You might have actually outpaced me in reps with this list at this point, but the it's a good point people tend not to shoot dodges, especially situational awareness dodges, when they're there. But when that's all I give them to shoot, it's a fun little forcing their hand kind of thing. So it was structured that way to just maximize the dodges on who might be exposed early. And he's not. I wasn't imagining him necessarily staying with him the entire game, especially once they dive in and do some flanking stuff. But it was originally designed to create that extra security. You're getting the dodge off retinue. Jyn's handling her own dodges, frankly, with take cover. I didn't imagine she was as much of an active player, more of a support in this one. And then the officer is especially turn 1 loading up Clan Ren and Sabine. That way you have Jyn and the officer within vigilance range for a couple of turns, so that they can keep that first dodge on them, and maybe any others a bonus. But I do like what you've done. You've moved into a bit more of an aggressive list, especially by adding the jetpack rockets on.
Yeah, and I think I was going to just say that I definitely play it way more aggressive than that. And my strategy isn't to like give them one thing to shoot. It's like, okay, you can't shoot everything, so
absolutely
pick what you're going to shoot, and everything else I have is going to shoot you.
Yeah, threat saturation in this game is much, much better than not. And especially with Rebels and White Saves, I think that's the key.
Yeah, because everything is just going to die anyway. So, like, I can't just feed them my whole list one at a time.
Right. No, that's how you lose.
Okay, so we know the list pretty well. I mean, if people have been watching, they've seen my list several times. So I do appreciate the insight. So I sent you this last night. I sent you the band picture. And just to go through it really quick, after seeing the lists, at first Codec was like, I'm not going to ban anything. And then I think he realized that he didn't want to play on both Breakthrough and Limited Viz. So he went to ban Clear Conditions, which and then like anytime I see snipers and Limited Viz, I just know that that's not what they're looking to do. So to the point where I'm surprised he even had Lim Viz in his list, but maybe he just doesn't out sniper like maybe clones or something, or like
Rebels snipers, obviously they're hurt by Lim Viz. However, I think Rebel snipers these days are not as effective, and they're not like the key pieces of the list enough that the benefits that Rebels get from Lim Viz, especially his is a very melee heavy list. His is about getting OpLuke in, so he wants that Limited Viz to cover Luke's approach more than he needs a couple rounds of black-white dice.
Right, and that makes sense. But in this game where he's not getting any benefit from Lim Viz because all of my things want to get into close range, he doesn't want to take his snipers off the board. So like I saw all that and I realized we were going to play on supply drop anyway. So I banned key positions because I don't really want to be fighting Luke over any specific area.
Excellent call.
And like basically gave him the second ban of like, all right, you can either ban Breakthrough and go to Sabotage the VAPs, or you can ban Limited Visibility like you wanted to, which he did. And so then my decision only became, should I do Hemmed In or should I do Danger Close? And I chose Hemmed In because I played it a lot more often, and I actually kind of like it with my list. But with Breakthrough, I do have to cover both areas because he can't, if I load up one, he just walks to the other very easily.
Yep.
But Danger Close felt like that too. It's still two very close areas. Dangerously close, one would say.
Yeah, it does. It does. And you have a note here about should I have banned to Danger Close second? I think you probably had a 50-50, and either way would have been the right call on this one. You guys both have R2 in your list. They cancel each other out, frankly. They both benefit equally from Hemmed In and Danger Close. If you listen to the Turn Zero List episode this week on the Legion 99 podcast feed, Rich and I talk about he introduced his list as a Luke, Lando, Wookiee list, but all of his objectives and deployments were centered around powering R2. So that either one of those was going to set you up well there. Both of these also, your list wants to be in close range quickly. Both of these set you up for that. Hemmed In probably gives you a little bit more control over keeping your list together in the center while covering both fields. Whereas Danger Close, you would have had to pick a side a lot more.
Right.
One advantage to Danger Close as a red player, though, is Danger Close will often disrupt all of the advantages or all of the reasons that a blue player chose a board edge. So if there's a clear imbalance in the board edge or a clear advantage they took from the blue player in the traditional bottom right corner they're looking at, Danger Close kind of throws that around because they have their long edge or the deployment is actually on red side. So that could have been one advantage. This table, not a huge difference. I think you're going to end up with those two large terrain pieces in the center, disrupting line of sight. Sorry, in the top and bottom center, and then you've got you're fighting over that space in the middle, anyways.
Yeah,
so.
actually, I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't know if you want to like turn it around so you see what I see. I'm on the screen
Sure.
now. That might be better just because we're looking at it from the red perspective.
Sure.
So I'm going to take you through what I did and what I normally do, which is I started with my red rebel troopers over here. Like I always like to start with rebel troopers. So I put one here and I put one here, and he just started like loading up this general area, right? Like, and once he started really heavily doing that, I knew I could essentially abandon this side. Oh, so we're playing breakthrough. But supply drops are, one is back here, which he put, and I put this one here because I wanted to move my Wookiees up there. He put one here. I put that one there, and then I gave Jyn one for her flank right here.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's definitely a little far out, but obviously you have to place these before you start placing forces. And I just thought, like, anything I sent over that way got a free one, and I could infiltrate Jyn there potentially. So, yeah. So I do my rebel troopers, and he starts loading up this side, and I'm trying to get my Wookiees close enough to get over to this side and possibly scale if they wanted to, but definitely hide them in that building. I made a huge mistake. Because, you can just see how open this all is, and they're like, oh, Wookiees. So, that was less good, and I ended up putting this Wookiee unit here to sort of cover. I was petrified of Luke because I haven't played against much Luke. I mean, I have played against Force users, and they're all strong, and Luke seems like one of the strongest, if not the strongest, and people always talk about how scary he is.
100%.
So one thing Codec did was he did give me his snipers pretty early, which I was surprised at. But he gave me his snipers, here in scouting and here in scouting, really, really early. Which I always want to know where the snipers are because, like we talked about in the list portion, I have the jetpack rockets now, and I have in several games already just opened up a game by taking out a sniper unit. But so I wanted this Wookiee unit close to the other Wookiee unit because I didn't want to just serve one up without having the follow-up.
Yep.
And then I just kind of space out from there. But I say, go ahead.
I think in my experience running the pairs of Wookiees, I do believe they generally work better with mutual support. So I think that was probably a good call on that piece. But you were talking about spreading out from there.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I spread out from there. I mean, if he puts his whole unit over here, I'm obviously going to put R2 over here. Plenty of time to go either way. Like, I ended up going the long way. But I didn't even think I had to. Obviously infiltrated Jyn here on this box, so she got, I think she got the thing that gives her a dodge in combat, which I was like, oh, perfect, because then that just automatically turns on her nimble without her actually having to take a quick thinking. And I just tapped that once, and field scanner, and moved her around. And like my plan was to move her either way, depending on what the Wookiees did, like how aggressive he came in with these Wookiees. And then I ended up doing R2 to take that second one, which he got the repair thing. And then everything else just, these guys moved here. I put Clan Ren down last and Sabine down second to last with the idea of just like, closing in on these guys. But also, still having a lot of room to just get to the blue area for breakthrough anytime I needed to. Like, not anytime, but, at the end of the game, they're just in such a good position on the flank there. While moving my rebel troopers up, behind, like my plan was to move them behind this crater, these guys behind this rock, and just try and shoot into everything that was happening in this general area.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you something? Oh, so first on the Jyn, on the Jyn infiltration, what point in the deployment did she go? Was she like first, or was she near the end?
No, very, very near the end, probably third to last, like even after R2.
Okay, cool. The second question on her would be, what is it that you're trying to kind of use her for in this list? Because you mentioned earlier this is a pretty far out there away from everything else infiltration.
Yeah, and Yep. All right. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I have definitely lost games because I got too I don't know if conservative is the right word, but I infiltrated or deployed a key piece far away, and they spent the most of the game getting to the action to have an effect. Jyn between command cards and Courage Bubble can have an impact while still being kind of out of the main action. But this seems pretty far out. I'm curious what the kind of how you intend to use Jyn in a situation like this.
Yeah, this is a huge mistake. This is too far
Okay,
out. I
okay.
was so obsessed with this thing, and this is
Yeah,
like new player, like, oh, a free card, because like as you could see,
yeah,
I could very easily just hide her over here,
yep,
and the only issue is like if I do get too close, like she can't run away from the Wookiees, and while if she is too close and the Wookiees come this way, they're gonna kill her. They're gonna kill R2, and then they're gonna come back behind and kill this guy. So I did need to keep her a little bit far out than like the very aggressive just outside of range 3, maybe taking a shot on
hmm
these Wookiees, because I do think that if he turned, they single-handedly just wipe this out,
hmm
because the support from here, and maybe Sabine, like I just don't think that's enough, and I really need Sabine in here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I do end up going the long way, you know. And my thinking was as the game progressed, like, okay, well, she's 100 points that he's never going to kill. She's
Mhm.
absolutely going to score. She's going to protect R2. She's going to protect these guys. And maybe by turn 5 and turn 6, like, she'll be here taking pot shots or coming up behind everything. Definitely not ideal. I would rather have put the condition token here and
Mhm.
started her here, because she's
Yep.
much better protected on this side and much closer to all the action.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Jyn, what are the key features of Jyn that you're leveraging in this list? Like
Um,
what's the value she's bringing for you?
I like her as a closing piece for R2. Her complete the mission, giving
Hmm.
like being able to give R2 a suppression a turn early, so I could blast off the final turn. I really like.
Gotcha.
The
Okay.
courage bubble in against this, I'm not as concerned about, because
Hmm.
the thing, like, if he wants to shoot my rebel troopers, then that's gonna be. I mean, that's going to be a huge issue for him, just letting my Wookiees and everyone else go free. And I do have my
Yep.
Rebel officer here. So really, I just leverage her to be whatever I need her to be.
Okay.
And I really like doing, I really like Trust Goes Both Ways to have like a really nice retinue turn. And
Hmm.
I know I'm giving all that up this game.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I guess what I didn't, I just used her as a random piece that was going to score.
that's fair. Yeah.
But I do
And
want to
sometimes.
keep her from outside. Like I always started with her range 3 gun, and I want to be picking off like a unit or two in like a trooper unit with her.
Yeah, I think that's a really good use. One of the things that, especially in this list, I think that she brings two key things for the huge value. One is the command cards and the ability to throw complete the mission where it needs to be. Trust Goes Both Ways is fantastic on either Sabine. I love it on Clan Ren because you can get a dodge on her right away because of the retinue.
Yep.
So you play Trust Goes Both Ways. They get the dodge from retinue. Jyn gets a dodge, and then you're all nimbled up. The other big thing is that that Courage 3 bubble specifically for Sabine and Clan Ren. Remind me, do you still have the Darksaber on Sabine?
I do.
Okay, so having Courage 3 bubble for Dauntless units is one of my favorite things about what Jyn can provide, especially those Speed 3 Dauntless units. So the other reason that I usually try to have her a little more centrally deployed, still your instinct to put her in a safe place is spot on, but a little bit more central deployment so that range 3 Courage bubble can have more of an impact over more of the central area.
Yep.
All that being said, I played a ladder game a couple weeks ago, and I made the exact same mistake putting a supply token in what seemed like a tricky position, and then uh, going way deep into the sunk cost fallacy.
Hmm.
Uh, and I had an entire set of vets and the Mark II heavily out of position to get slaughtered. So,
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we
yeah,
practice, right? Like it's just to like learn these things. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
so
for this, and one of the biggest takeaways for this for the audience is, I think when playing supply drop, be really thoughtful about that, and even if you screw it up, it's okay to accept the loss of a supply token in deployment to secure that a little bit better. But,
yeah, for sure. I mean, the only supply tokens he got really were this one. I got
okay.
2 on this one. I got 2 on this one, and I got 2 on that one. No one even touched this one. It's like way out.
Absolutely.
One thing is like with the Dauntless, I mean, you still need a lot of suppression on these guys to panic them. So I still end up using I use Dauntless for each unit this game. And I use it when I have to. It's not like something I want to lean into, but it's just great. Like I Dauntless to move Sabine up and use her explosions, which was really key. Any other thoughts on turn 0 or my plans for turn? My plan after this, once he set up like here, was to start with push, and I ordered both of the Wookiees. So I could bail on these guys as soon as possible and then bring these guys up whenever I wanted. And also it would only leave me 1 special forces in the bag, meaning I could get a late activation, ideally out of Clan Ren.
Yeah, I think this is fairly solid. I understand why you deployed in kind of a spread out way while you were waiting to see what he did. Leading with the naked rebel troopers is absolutely the way that I go on this too. You want to drag out that critical piece deployment until later, unless there's a good reason for it. Sometimes I would lead with a Jyn deployment where I would pop her. I might pop her behind that big heavy piece in the center to the right. Yeah, that line of sight blocking one. That way she's in a position to exert that command card and courage bubble. They have to.
Those Wookiees would have eaten there so hard.
They would have come over, yeah, but then the Wookiees are spending time on there, and she can. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily drop her right there, but the Wookiees can come over that way, but then they're spending, with the bowcaster. That's what are they up to these days? 100 some points.
Yeah, but I mean, I try not to be aggressive with my infiltrate. I mean, if I did put her there and he puts the Wookiees there and they kill her, even if it takes 2 turns, he still took out my commander, 2 of my command cards. Sure. A unit I really like and pretty much probably for free.
Yeah, I do think the Wookiees would fall under the pressure of some of the other stuff you have down here a little more. So baiting them in with Jyn in a saber. So again, not right there where they can like aim and then scale right over onto her. That would be probably too close. But yeah, baiting them in. You've got the dark saber. You've got a non-zero melee and red saves off of Clan Red. You can chew through those Wookiees pretty fast.
That is what ended up happening.
Okay, cool.
So after all of me saying like, oh, I want to get the 1 special forces in the bag, so I never pull it. It was my first pull, and so I ended up moving them here onto this mountain. I spent a lot of time with this last night. Actually, I did it kind of. I didn't do it quick in the game, but I probably could have taken 15 more minutes to figure out what to do. I end up jumping into here and firing the jetpack rockets, but it was range 3, and I really should have fired 2 jetpack rockets plus the suppressive shot from Tristan. Sure. It would be more dice with an aim off because I took the aim off the retinue. With the 3 red dice, I really don't even need the aim, to be honest. So and potential to actually kill a unit and do impossibly even put on the 4 full damage because it also gives it lethal if I happen to have a good roll.
Yep.
And he of course dodged 2, took 1, and it was the worst possible situation. And there was a way for me, and I tooled with it a lot. There was a way for me to like stay out of range 3. I'm stay just on the barely edge of range 3 while also dodging the sniper shots and the DLT range 4 shots. So I could have finagled it in a pretty good way, but that didn't go well for me. And he starts laying into my Wookiees from this angle, and then I move them up to hide them here. Luke jumps up on the building. Yep. He moved all of these guys over here with standbys, and then just force pushed my Wookiees over here, so they got mulched.
Yes.
And I moved these Wookiees up to try and get into, to basically counter-strike range. But he ended up opting to move Luke down and into engagement with these Wookiees in round 2. So I'm going to load up where we ended up after round 1.
Cool.
Just so we can see that. because that's what that's the nature of this video. So this is where we were. How do I get that? Yeah, after round 1. So moved R2 up, brought Jyn around, moved these yellow guys up. He moved his Wookiees up. My Sabine moved up here. I believe she took a shot on the Wookiees too, and I actually believe these guys took a shot on the Wookiees potentially as well. I can't remember that. So this is where I ended up after round 1. And, obviously I took 7 damage on these Wookiees. 4 suppression is a lot. And, the bulk of the fight is traversing to be happening here with me sort of falling behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at this point, even this early in the game, you need to start thinking about breakthrough math.
Yeah.
What's going where, what's going to get through, where are you? I think of breakthrough often as 2 opposing sets of hammers and anvils. Where are you going to put the block in there to slow him down, and where are you trying to punch through? So you clearly have a flank with Jyn and R2 coming around.
Right. I basically get 3 free points there, and my thinking is just that like these 4 units are going to be able to take out the Wookiees, pretty aggressively. Even if I have to trade some damage on Clan Ren and Sabine. And that is going to open up just this whole side of the map for, this barrier right here to allow Red to walk over if I want to bring the commander over and, start making trades. And then obviously my plan, maybe not obvious, but like my plan is to, get Sabine into a position where she can explosions and really just either decimate or finish off as many of these units as I can.
Yeah. This is a pretty strong shaping up. It sounds like Rich taught you, or Codec taught you the the power of Luke's threat range.
Yes, I mean I know about force push, and like this was just a really sad positioning for my guys. Like there was just nothing good there, and I still don't know exactly how I should have engaged Luke. 12 health Wookiees are pretty good in general for like soaking lots of shots. And, I don't think I got I didn't get to take cover them, but it's still a lot of damage to work through.
Yeah.
Especially once they start getting suppressed. So I do get to start using cover. I put them here. They got a Bacta off this, which was huge.
That's a big pull.
Which I used immediately and bought them a little bit more time. And it really opened up the Wookiees to be able to come in and mess up the rest of this unit, like the whole contingency. So just to get a quick idea, run through how the rest of the game went. We traded some Clan Ren for the Wookiees, and Sabine and Clan Ren came this way. These guys, the troopers just fired into this like little kill box area as his team moved up. These troopers came up. They also took out this purple sniper team. They got that supply drop, and they got precision scopes and field scanner, and were able to come up and just take a free aim, like get close and take an aim shot on the sniper unit, which they completely took out in one shot. So the troopers rolled hot. My black dice were absolutely hot this game, and won me the game in a lot of ways. But when Sabine came up, he had played Lando's 2-pip when Luke and Lando were here with standbys, and I hid Sabine perfectly behind this box, dropped the bombs over the right side of the boxes so they couldn't see, but the bombs would still get them.
Gotcha.
And I could have moved here to still stay out of their line of sight and not trigger their standbys, but I was like, I'll just move into melee with R2, completely forgetting about standby, and it let Luke and Lando run. And I literally was like, all right, I quit. I don't want to play anymore. Like, you win. And he was like, dude, come on. Like, he's like, I know you're mad at yourself for not getting the standby, but like, I had to do it that way because you have to learn. And also, like, you're going to see, like, you're going to take out a lot of units. You're going to double suppress anything. And you just push Luke and Lando way out of the fight.
Yeah.
And the explosions did. The explosions just totally rocked everything. It moved Luke and Lando way out so that everything else, like this was down to one unit, but these guys were just about full. They waltzed in. The yellow guys waltzed in. And all he had left It also it panicked 2 units who had to run this
Oh
way,
yeah.
which was huge
Yep.
because it just kept them out of the fight just long enough for me to. I parked Clan Ren like right here and just shot
Hmm.
into those guys as they came through, taking them
Hmm.
out. And like the Tristan double suppression shot made it
Yep.
so they couldn't double move, which was just huge. Just parking them there, and I ended up winning 6-4 because he only had Luke, Lando, and R2 with secret mission in the
Oh
area.
sure. Yep.
And what I think I'm most impressed by is that even through all my mistakes, and even basically having Jyn and R2 not do anything other than score,
Hmm.
I won. I won. You know, basically down 2 units. I won 8 versus 10
Hmm.
here. I guess 9 if you don't really want to count R2, but because although he did fire, he fired a bunch to do the double suppression.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
It's always a
Um,
fun game when Archie starts shooting.
yeah, always. I think he even got into melee a little bit, which was great. So yeah, I mean that's how it went, and this is just as my regular viewer will know that I'm just going through how that turn one went and like
Yeah.
what my strategy was, and it's good to have someone else to bounce ideas off of and kind of point out to me very subtly when by doing that teacher move, being like, so what were you thinking here, when you really just want to say, what the f were you doing this?
Yeah, no, I think I like it was great play through and great rollout of how you did it. Breakthrough on almost any deployment, but especially on hemmed in, is often going to have that kind of pinwheel effect of the battle, and I think you leveraged that really well. Jyn, we talked about some of the ways Jyn could have been better utilized, but honestly, Jyn and that infiltration and being able to get in and threaten a breakthrough, especially in such a safe spot, he has to decide whether he wants to commit more than just that set of Wookiees to try to take that down, or make the big push on his primary front. Um, and I think in general, Jin being over there, he was more focused on Sabine and Clan Ren. Arguably, you could have worried less about the Wookiees than you did. I think you definitely could have had success over those central Wookiees with less committed
Hmm.
into the fight, and sent more of the rebel troopers around the back to be more safe. But it worked. It worked well, I think. And uh, really good lesson on the on the Sabine explosions play too.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot of good lessons. I mean, I learned about
Yeah.
Luke jumping and force pushing around a corner to trigger standbys.
Oh yeah.
I learned, I learned that like I can take the range 3 shot to get the 4 dice
Hmm.
on the attack here. I
Hmm.
used Dauntless a bunch. I learned about, like over flanking.
Yep.
I basically took this vigilance out of the game too, which wasn't fun.
Yep. Yep.
One thing I really liked, it was this position here because it allowed them to just pressure the Wookiees as they moved up onto
Yep.
like, and then like get in this crossfire, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But then still be right here for the end game, where after Sabine's explosions, like everything that came through here had to face an open shot
Hmm.
from these guys, and then because he never actually finished this unit off, like this guy just got to like pepper suppression in, and he was the one thing that just kept its dodge all game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Any other parting thoughts before we close it? Because this is like double how long my episodes usually are.
Well, there's two of us. Well, I think the last question I have for you is how do you feel now about like Wookiees in with lightsaber users and their effectiveness?
I think they can be. I think if I play it right, they can be very effective. One thing
Hmm.
lightsabers like to do when they're in a melee with the Wookiees is to like use their lower pip cards to make sure they attack first.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
if I can play better to give my Wookiees that are engaged in these situations dodges,
Hmm.
so that they use duelists to be immune pierce, I think
Hmm.
I can be a really scary force to be reckoned with, because that still allows, by giving them, like by keeping a dodge on them with vigilance, and even to the point where like maybe I just walk this guy up and like make sure I can take cover them before the end of the round, that when I do get beat out on the command cards, they have Duelist ready to go, and then they're able to also still aim and punch back. So I
Yeah.
think that they are not. I've definitely had my fair share of melee success with the Force users, but I actually think they're better suited shooting them from range.
Yeah, I would 100% second that. I have Duelist is really attractive, especially, and the idea of Immune Pierce is really attractive. But what in my anecdotal experience, something that I've noticed is uh, Immune Pierce, especially multi Pierce like a lightsaber, um, doesn't actually do that much because the Wookiees are essentially Immune Pierce anyways because they never roll blocks.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's
But
it's a one, with the 1 out of 6. Now the dodge, it does, it's going to take a hit out of there, which is good because you're probably getting hits.
and then
In
if
there.
you do roll one, it's keeping it.
and
You know what I mean?
and if you do roll one, it's keeping it. So it's there. But I am starting to push back on myself when I feel the urge to. Oh, I've got these Wookiees. They're the perfect counter to a lightsaber unit. I do think that they have a better chance of chewing through other units. Or I'm going to set up in a situation where I know I'm going to sacrifice them to the lightsaber, but the idea is to slow them down when I've got the real punch coming in. All that being said, I think the best way to defeat lightsabers is to make them roll defense die and preferably at range when they're not hitting you back.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's definitely something to think about with a Wookiee unit that feels with 12 hit points or 12 wounds or whatever we call them in this game,
Mm-hmm.
and that tempting duelist keyword feels like an ideal matchup, but in practice, I start losing minis fast when I do that.
Yeah,
So
no, I think it's more of a backup plan because like if a Jedi,
mhm.
if a Force user's gonna get close, like they're gonna have Force push, so
Yep.
they only have to get so close before they pull you in. But being prepared and getting the dodge, getting the immune pierce, and like keeping as many units as you can on them when you do punch back, or like taking a standby in a place that they have to get to before they can force push you, are both like some counterplay to a Jedi, which doesn't have a lot of counterplay. It's not like
Yeah.
there's easy ways to play around force push.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that was a good talk. I definitely want to cut it because 37 minutes is too much for my viewers. Everyone's already stopped. So I do want to appreciate. I do want to say how much I appreciate you coming on and for giving me this list, which I've been playing in won quite a few games, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I
Awesome.
will post a link to the for people that haven't checked it out yet, your conversation with Codec about his Lando Luke list.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a fun talk and a great lightning round too in our Turn Zero List style. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. Anytime.
Awesome.
All right.